So what? So what? Don't tell me. Why you talking about your location before you call the police, bro? Okay, so what you doing?
I know it's all over, but the last goodbye.
That's right. We need to say deuces to the disrespect. We need to say deuces to the unfaithfulness. We need to say deuces to the women or the men that don't know or understand our value. Throw those two fingers up to the people that can't love you right. Throw those two fingers up to the people that don't support you when you're down. Throw those two fingers up to the people that don't appreciate you in your work. Yes, we desire the ones that attracted to us. And yes, we desire the ones that don't mean us no good. Yes, we desire the one that brings us a lot of adventure. But you have to say deuces to the ones that do not do you right for your mind or your soul. You have to say deuces to the ones that don't make you feel less than what you should be treated as. Remember your value of self. How are we doing today? Happy Tuesday, everybody. And we thank y'all for tuning in to Testimonial Tuesday. And as always, we always bring in great greetings and motivations and, all these great, amazing stories to just give you the uplift to understand that your past don't define you. So to my side, because I ain't even gonna say my left or my right from what they see. It is my co-host Lyrica 7.
Hey y'all.
And our special guest Linda is in the building. Linda, how are you? How have your week been?
Well, it's Lynn Denise, but
okay, Lynn Denise. Look,
but
let's
yes,
get the
it's
name.
been fun. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think it's been all right. I mean, for the most part, it was a trying week for me. Definitely a trying week. A lot of different emotions. And I could honestly say the week before was about the same. So it just kind of came to a head now.
Okay.
Yeah,
some of them days, these weeks do get kind of rough, especially with everything that's going on now on top of just life in general. So can you tell everybody who you are and what do you do?
Yes, I can. My name is Denise Garrison, but I go by Lynn Denise, which is my moniker. And if I describe myself in a few words, I would honestly say I'm an author. I just released a new book called, my first book called Dark Past and Bright Future. I've been writing poetry for a while, so probably since a child, but I just really started kind of getting into it and putting it out there. An artist, a visual artist, a mother, and an entrepreneur.
Yes, and we love all those awesome things. So, as always on Testimonial Tuesdays, the fair question is, can you tell us a little bit about your testimony from like where you start to, your victory that you're walking now?
I think it's been a colorful one. As a child, I've always been allowed to, voice my opinion and be opinionated and kind of be independent as a child. And I think that that's followed through adulthood, because a lot of people don't really find their independence until they're older and they're grown or trying to find their voice. So I think that is carried into life, like with it being jobs or opportunities. Like I've always been a go-getter or like a risk taker. I mean, one thing's for sure, I always tell myself that the worst they can say is no. And I pride myself on not committing to things that I don't want to do because I think it causes you more mental warfare by wishing you had said no. But I think that that's what's gotten me, as far and just my spirituality.
Absolutely. So, as you know, as you growing up and stuff, what did you go through? Like as far as just life in general. What made you say you had to find yourself?
Um, Thinking back to like ideally, like when people grow up, we're born to parents. Regardless of what things have changed now, but typically we're born to two parents. So me not knowing my father, um, was kind of hard, at times, like wondering what if and was I less than, and then kind of um, coming into myself as I got older. It slowly but surely didn't bother me. I mean, at times it has when I would maybe be in a relationship or like more recently, like Father's Day at times, it, was a factor. You see
Hmm.
people, and then it's kind of like could be a weird thing for me because people usually sometimes don't talk about their parents unless they're really connected with them until it's their birthday, they did something for them, or they died,
Mm.
or a
Mm,
holiday. But
yeah.
so I feel like that's what kind of started the chain of events. And then just like I said, finding myself kind of after some, a bad, my most recently, like a bad relationship, I felt like it was time to reinvent myself and just kind of detach myself from who I was in, I could say, the workforce. Because a lot of times we dedicate most of our life to work. So all you have is either work or home. There's not a third part of who your social life is. Like there's a lot of people you meet like, oh, I don't go out, I don't do this, I don't do that. Well, we do spend our lives doing that. You know, you waste away.
Hmm.
True.
Too busy making a
Absolutely.
living, but not really living. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So tell us what made you title your book. First of all, let's talk about your book. Let's get to the book. How did you decided that you wanted to write the book, and why did you title it the name that you titled it?
All right, so I'm gonna tell y'all. Hold on, let me get the book for y'all. How many that book? Yeah. Let me get the book for you. But um, the reason why I decided to title the book that is because I feel like, and I'm gonna give you guys an analogy. There's one thing that no matter who you are or what you are, we have, and everyone is born with sexual instinct. Right? It doesn't matter who it is, whether it be insect or human being. So, with that philosophy in mind, I feel like everybody has a dark past or something that may not be as, you know, how can I'm trying, there's a word I'm looking for, but that they may not always be proud of, because that's what makes us who we are. Everybody, whether it's secret in your family, it may not be directly coming from you, but it's tied to you. It's generational. And so I felt like, with that being said, no matter what, with us having a dark past, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Which
And so
is
that's
true.
why I chose to, told that because we all got to push on. The people who have not pushed on have, made their decisions or made
True.
decisions that contributed or attributed to them not being here any longer.
So what is one of your deepest secrets that you've been holding on with that book?
Oh, look at the
But
book.
this is,
Okay. Okay. Like that. Like that cover.
Yeah, that cover's nice.
Yeah.
yeah, so um well, the book is not about me. It's actually short stories in there, 5 short stories. I decided not to do a memoir because I wanted to shed light on stories that, or I could say common themes that are heavy in our community as Black people.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
I think one thing that's hard to talk about, like you got a lot of hood novels and things like that, but one thing that's hard to talk about is pain or read
Mm.
about is pain
Mhm.
because it tends to be trigger for people. So
Yeah.
most people don't want to read about it. Like I've had people like, oh, I don't want to read the book. What is it about? But that's because it starts to drum up other things that they've forgotten about, tried to repress, or haven't dealt with at all.
Yeah. So true. So true. Good point.
Absolutely.
Good point.
But I'll read y'all my synopsis of the book.
Okay.
So it says everyone has dealt with a bout of trauma at some point in their lives. The characters depicted in this book have all weathered the storm, but managed to find the light at the end of the tunnel. For example, Avery, a psychiatrist who owns her own practice, is carrying the weight of her clients' issues in her own relationship on her shoulders. Have you ever found yourself trying to solve everyone else's problems but your own?
Hmm.
A young man, Tony, learns the hard way that a major part of becoming an adult is accountability. Without accountability, you have nothing. PTSD has a way of controlling people's lives. Take Craig, for example. He never expected life to be like this after returning home from the military. The only thing Craig wants is to regain control of his life, regain control of life, and get his family back. At the tender age of 4, no one would expect their father to betray their trust in the way that Lachey's father did. Consequently, he will have to be responsible for his action. In this book, the challenges that are faced by these characters all have led to traumatic events. Many of us are forced to face our trauma on a daily basis. In order to restore balance and resiliency, we must not overlook these dark situations, but find ways to bring them to light.
And all of
Wow.
that is absolutely true.
Yeah. Definitely. Wow.
So, being that you said these stories are not your memoirs, how do you connect with the characters in this book of holding something darkness from your past? As on Testimonial Tuesdays, we try to connect with people to see like where their testimony started to where their testimony are now ending.
Being as though that I'm an empathist, like usually when you meet people, I've been known to be like a seer, or if somebody did tell you a story, I tend to internalize what they're feeling.
Hmm.
And so for me, I feel like at Testimony Tuesday, like at times that can be hard, especially like I told you about the therapist. No, I'm not a therapist, but if people feel like if you're one of them people where people feel comfortable talking to you, you end up turning into one. Or if you have jobs where people telling you their life story, you have a decision whether you judge or you take it in and either learn from it or maybe ask questions that they might not have thought of. So I feel like that's how my testimony ties into it. Like I'm not saying that I don't have a story, but I feel like that, you know, just using the voice, being the voice of others who may
Gotcha.
not be strong to
Gotcha.
unpack their own trauma.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's why we do testimonial Tuesdays. We allow people to take the stage to tell why they past don't define them. That's the purpose of the show. We give this, the reason why we created the page is to give a safe haven for people to get positivity and be able to understand that we all go through something. And it's just a message to show people that we all walk through light and we've all walked a path, but we've all walked through something.
Absolutely. Mhm.
I
So,
understand. I agree.
Um, is there a time in your life that you feel that you've had to walk a dark path?
Mm, yeah, honestly, I can. I can say that like my last relationship, like I haven't had too many of them, but my last relationship kind of was like, I would say it wasn't so much dark, but it was a path to find out um who I am or what I won't allow.
Mm.
It was more
Yeah.
of a test. I feel like we all have things where we find out, like, if somebody put it to the test, like how strong we really are. Not
Mhm.
saying that we never thought that we were in the beginning, but that you like, if I make it out, you learn some things about yourself, about what you won't do again. Moving forward that you won't do that again.
Mhm.
True. Lesson learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it takes those things for us to know. I know, like, speaking of, going through in relationships, I know there are certain relationships that I went through that, like you said, I learned a lot about me. And I learned a lot about what I want out of a relationship. Not just from the other person, but even myself, like what I will put into a relationship, what to expect from myself as well as somebody else. So a lot of times it's not until you go through those things that that you're able to even realize, exactly what you're talking about. So that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like a lot of times when you go through something, it kind of just puts it at front and center. Like, all
Mhm.
right, I seen this happen, and I don't want to go down that road again, or I don't want to deal with that in my peaceful situation.
Yeah.
So it just guides you to a particular structure of how you want your peace, your safe haven,
Yeah.
all that and etc. So I definitely get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Protecting your peace. I think, one thing's for sure, being in a bad relationship is like almost like we were in quarantine in the pandemic. It sat you down. You had to
Yeah.
take a minute to reflect because this thing was so bad that you're like, how do I protect my peace and my mental health? And at
Mhm.
times, yes, we mess up because that transition, it's not a day, it may not be a month, it may not be a year. But that time that if you give into the loneliness when you're like, I'm just lonely, that's how I feel like we slip up and jump into something when we weren't ready. And I think
Yes.
there are many who haven't got to the point where even if you get into something like that you had to step back and be like, you know what, I'm mentally and physically and emotionally not available and ready to do this.
Hmm.
So
I
true.
think
And
we
that's
kind of
true.
pushed through it because they said they'll work with you. I give you some
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
I give you some time. But you're not really giving me time because when I don't do it or I can't meet you halfway,
Hmm.
then I'm somebody bad. I'm all these names. I'm
Mhm. There's a problem. Yeah.
it's a problem.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
instead of bowing out, we let comfortability keep us we let comfortability destroy our peace.
Yeah, we do. Or we don't want to be alone. And we say, all right, I don't want to be by myself. So I'll deal with this person because they're showing me attention or that they're giving me some company. So they take that road as well. And that then hinders us into toxic relationships and
Yeah.
toxic situations, or not being healed before we went into another relationship would then cause issues because you wasn't ready for the relationship in the beginning.
In
Yeah.
the first place.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes we make decisions like based off of we make permanent decisions in a sense based off of temporary circumstances.
Yeah.
So in other words, like, okay, I have
Oh
a
my goodness, I
moment.
say that all the time.
Yes, like I have a moment of loneliness. So here I go jumping into something that's gonna take me 5, 6 years down the road just to get
Mhm.
out because I had a moment of something. You know what
That
I
one
mean?
moment can cause you a
Yeah,
lifetime of hell.
exactly. Exactly.
And
Yes.
I think that's even attributed to, like you said, loneliness and sex. Because
Mhm.
you may one day be like, you know what, I'ma call him, and you kind of go through with it, and now you got a baby with somebody that you had no intentions
Hmm.
of ever being with. Or
Yeah.
I give you one even better. I'm sure we've all done this. You ever been with somebody and they start doing things and you like, my ex used to do that. Or you remind me of my ex.
Listen.
And then the thing that the person does is, why you keep talking about your ex? And instead of
Mm-hmm.
running the other way to be like, you remind me too much of my ex, and that's why it's my
Mhm.
ex. We continue because they're like, oh, stop talking about that person.
Yeah.
Right.
So true. So true. Yes. Good point. Good point.
Take. Listen. Cause that ain't nothing but the truth though. I like, you seen it happen. So it's just like, well, yep.
Mhm.
I know all about those conversations.
You ain't the
and
only
like
one.
and like you said, after reflecting, and you be like, I did that. Like we've all
Mm-hmm.
women do that, or men too. But I'm saying commonly
Mm-hmm.
we do that because it's the triggers.
Mhm.
Oh, he used to make me that favorite food. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yes.
and,
Speak
and,
about
and
those
I think
triggers.
we forget about the pain that's associated too. Because
Yeah.
like hypothetically, like say y'all went on y'all first date to McDonald's, right? And you get to McDonald's and for some reason he had like a mental breakdown or something. And he go off on you. If you go to McDonald's and you just start waking out and he's not understanding why.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, and I think, for me, I feel like sometimes we have to start telling. I know people say, oh, that's too much to be telling somebody you just met. But I feel like that's why we get caught up.
Yeah,
Because
the conversations need to be had.
we don't give a person a fair enough chance to say, this something I ain't ready to deal
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mhm.
They don't give them that option. You don't talk about it till later on, until where they already caught up and they like, uh, you know. Then down the line is like, well, why did we have this conversation before? Oh, well, I wasn't ready to tell you,
with. We
and
20 years
that's
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
Something
how
just
that
and
part.
something
you know what?
something shook in you. Yeah.
Like I give you an example. So say hypothetically, if you had been touching something and you might have did it with him that night, but you knew you weren't ready.
Mhm.
So being as though that you did it and y'all like together now it's like 2 years. Once you start having a flashback of why you can't do it, it's a problem. And let's say you never mentioned,
Mhm. Yeah.
because he might have said, "Hey, maybe we can wait, or I'll go to counseling with
Mhm. That's
you."
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is definitely so true. So that's why we got to talk and have these conversations. The hard one at that, because a lot of times people they hold on to it because they feel that they don't want to be judged instead of just being comfortable. And you got to allow persons to be comfortable with you to decide on if that's comfortable for them or if it's not.
But I think commonly now they have so many people who like one thing I think, people keep saying the word trauma is too so new. But I feel like that it's not new because slaves went through trauma.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? And in school, the history that we're talking about is trauma that they've dealt with.
Mhm.
The things that were taken away from them. So you're right. Or even trauma bonding, where the person may be like, you know what, I dealt with that too. Like, that's part of the reason why I'm hurting, or I hurt people.
Hurt people. Hurt people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why my hashtag for this year is you deserve to heal. Cause the thing about it is we are so many people out here hurting. So as instead of them going to heal and taking care of themselves and
Mhm.
going down that road of healing and understanding self and getting their self-worth, self-knowledge, all the et ceteras, they sit and hurt somebody else because they was in pain already and never healed for
Yeah.
what they needed to heal from.
So true. Yep.
Well, I'm glad you said, especially like say you have people who jump from relationship to relationship. And I know on social media we watch it unfold so often. You was in one with somebody, next thing you know, you're in another one. We all experience some type of level of hurt or happiness in the relationships. So when you jump in with somebody else, you didn't even take time to digest what was going on.
Right.
Right.
Yep. That's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
Because, like you said, they too busy. And it goes back to people not wanting to be alone. And they jump from relationship to relationship to relationship. So that all ties into everything of people of, and some of them might not want to be alone because of something that happened in their past. And they don't know how to be alone. They've never been alone.
Mm-hmm.
So they're carrying all these masses and all these things and don't know how to fix it. So they fix it with other substitutions.
Yeah, it's true.
Agreed. I totally agree.
Or some people, can be just simply addicted to relationship, hopping from
That's a,
one relationship, just pretty
You
much what you
ain't
said,
never
you
lied.
know, and like you said, just not learning how to be alone, looking for other people to make them happy, not understanding that no one can actually make you happy.
right.
You have to be happy within yourself. You know what I mean? If you're not happy with you, no one else can make you happy. No one else is going to be able to meet those expectations that you have. Like you have to learn how to be content and how to be happy within yourself.
Yeah. And
Well, one
that's a major thing.
one thing I've found too is that when people say addictive behaviors in today's time, people only associate that with being with drugs
Yeah, so
and
true.
food.
Mhm. Mhm. It's true.
It could be other things. Like you
Mhm.
said, addicted to relationships where you
Mhm.
just it's more than companionship.
You're right. Right. Mhm.
That
Exactly.
yeah,
Or even being
exactly.
addicted to toxicity.
Yep. Say that.
Somebody said, I
Yes.
guess I've been there.
Is that your
Yeah, like,
cousin?
That's my cousin,
That
Princess.
your
Sorry.
cousin
Shout out to
princess is tuning in. No,
my
it's all right.
cousin in South Carolina. Whoop, whoop. Hey, baby girl.
hey.
Shouts out to cuz. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, yes.
Author Michelle said, yes, I have been there and I have done that. I am a survivor and I had to learn how to love myself all over again. Amen,
Absolutely.
girl. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to relearn yourself. You kind of like we were talking about. It's just more or less that once you take that break, that letting somebody know, like these are my boundaries, and when I
Mhm.
feel as though they're being violated across, to cut it off, like be okay with. I just can't talk to you no more. And now we had the luxury of being able to block people.
Yes. Say that. Say that. Some people, yes, that blocking ministry. That
Yeah,
blocking ministry. Yes.
you gotta have it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a quick question. So, as far as your poetry goes, like what are some of the things that over the years that have actually been an inspiration to you that have inspired your poetry?
First and foremost, probably being pro-black. Uh,
Mm,
being black all the way. I think the I the idolization of people wanting to be black. Like I think one
mm,
of the one things that we don't understand is how powerful we are.
mm,
Whether that
Mhm.
be innovation, whether that be the things we've done, the momentous moment that we don't even sometimes get to bask in before somebody else takes it over.
mm, mm. Deep.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Bless
Thank
Deep.
you.
you. Before
Mm-hmm.
somebody else takes it over.
That's deep. Mm-hmm.
Like just seeing that if we knew how powerful we was together, we'd be a lot
Mm.
further.
Right. Right. Definitely. Definitely. Wow.
Because we, so easily influenced. Like at this point, the influences that even just TV or somebody else could say that.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Okay. Like I know for me personally, I've written poetry ever since I was young, ever since I had the ability to write. And same thing, it's a lot of like for me personally, life experiences or seeing the experiences of other people I draw inspiration from to like you had mentioned earlier about being the voice for the voiceless, sometimes writing for others, those who cannot really articulate in such a way that God has gifted you the ability to, and just all kinds of things, can be inspirations for me personally, just to write about. You know what I mean? So I'm always curious when I meet other authors or the poets, just to ask, like, for them, what's their inspiration? So yeah, and you're right about that. I know for me personally, I went through a lot of I grew up in the South, and I went through a lot of like racial issues that have definitely affected the way I write. My perspective and the how I come for so long. I hated myself. I hated my skin. I hated my hair. I hated my features because I was always told by other people that I was ugly because I was black. And I thought that for a long, long time. And it wasn't until God opened my eyes to realize that no, you're black and I made you beautiful. You're black and beautiful. That's how I made you. And everything I made is good, you know? And so that has also inspired me to write, to reach out to other young black girls, young black, back in my day, there was no like natural hair movement. Like all these movements that are out now, like we didn't have those back then, you know what I mean? To embrace. And so I just want to write and let other people know, like, whoever you are, God made you beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So,
Well,
yeah.
even when it comes to the hair, the one thing that I think, and this is like even with like being vegan, there,
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, I'm growing locks because I'm tired of doing my hair."
Mhm.
They don't know that there's a shedding process or a preparation mentally that goes into that. Even being able to maybe stick to that, you know, uh,
Mhm.
that what you were going through when you started them, religion. So even just like even when you hear people talk about I'm going vegan, um, I'm just a person that's like big on research. Like I remember having a
Mhm.
conversation with somebody and she was like, I don't eat meat anymore. And I'm like, she's like, I just eat fish. So I'm like, at some point, are you a vegetarian or a pescatarian? Like I
Yeah.
feel like
Right.
if you're gonna commit to things like that, figure out why. Like if you're vegan, why are you vegan? Like what goes
Mhm.
into like what happens if you get osteoporosis?
Right.
So just
Exactly.
knowing what
Yeah.
that goes into that. But I mean, definitely for sure. Like one thing about the racism that you were talking about the racism that you were talking about is, um, people say, "Oh, let's end racism." The one reasons why it never will end is because we continue to create different sects within even in our relation in our races. Like I'll give
Mhm.
you an example, and some people may not agree, but for okay, LGBTQ community, right?
Mhm.
Now, letters are being added, right? But I feel like that's still a form of discrimination. I know people want to have an identity, but the more letters you add, you're still creating a form of separation.
Mhm.
Because with any race, you ever see somebody who was like, they say, oh, like I'm Asian. They're like, oh, and people said, uh, I'm black. And Africans, and believe it or not, with that, like you have Africans who I'm black, but I'm African. I'm not black. There's a kind of dispute there all the time.
Mhm.
So I just think that, like you said, the race thing is definitely true. I think that it comes out in a lot of people's poetry because it's something that's everywhere.
Mhm. Something that people can actually relate to. You know what I mean? Like, now, where did you grow up?
I actually was born in California, and then I moved around a lot. Like I,
Ah.
lived down south, but like very early in
Mhm.
Mississippi, and
Mm.
lived in Tennessee, and then I came to Philly. Like for the latter part of my life. But I understand
Okay.
what you mean about the South because it's a different total way of living and total way of understanding. Like even down there, people tend to live longer. You know,
Mhm.
people tend to live longer. Like there's people living like 105 and stuff like that. And people have said like, well, they smoke, drink. But I think it's the mental peace. It's the
Right.
mental
Right.
peace,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
that they have.
So
But I
when did
think
you release your book?
February
February of this year?
of 2021.
Okay.
Yes, actually the book started before that, but it was COVID. My
Mm.
I wouldn't say publisher, but my editor had moved her office to Atlanta.
Okay.
So, it was kind of hiccups with that. And so we finally ended up getting it out.
Okay.
But I
Awesome,
think, the book
awesome.
had been done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well,
Amazing.
can you tell everybody where they can find your book and how to get in touch with you?
Yes, so the book is called Dark Past and Bright Future. It can be found at kissbyredpublishing.com, and it's KISS by Red RED publishing.com. And what was the next thing you said?
Um, how can they find you? Like if they want to get in contact with you for an interview or anything, just how can they contact you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Miss MS underscore Lynn Denise. Well, Lynn underscore Denise, and the Lynn is LYNN underscore DENISE. And my business website is www.mavericksix.com. Maverick 6.
Well, it has been awesome, and we appreciate you for being on Testimonial
Yes,
Tuesday.
absolutely.
We appreciate all of the influence and the knowledge that you have dropped on us today, and
Yes,
we
I'm sorry. I
appreciate
wish it was
you.
in a better setting, y'all.
It's okay.
Got the babies.
It's all right.
Yeah, trying to work with her.
Definitely understand life of a
Yes,
mother. It never ends.
exactly.
So we get it.
Yes, but thank you for having me as well.
No problem, no
Absolutely.
problem. We appreciate you for being here.
Yes, and I'm glad we could connect again, especially from the Pod Poets Lounge.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yes, good times on there.
So you have a good night, hun.
You too, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We had Miss Linda Denise in the building.
Yes.
And yeah, please go follow her, get her book, you know, find out who she is, find out about that poetry. What it was called, darkest past.
Mhm.
Listen, we all flow that darkness in that past.
Yeah.
I tell you that. Listen. We've walked so many journeys, so many times. That's the point of victory of the mind. We don't allow our past to define us. And
Yes.
a lot of times people allow their past to just trickle down into everything they do and wonder why they still miserable or try to figure out why they're not in peace anymore. And the thing about it is because you haven't closed the door to what you're trying to leave behind.
Yes.
You still carrying it like a luggage, like on the shoulder.
Mhm.
And it's just like, okay. Lyrica,
Yes,
you ready
ma'am.
for next Tuesday? Next Tuesday, we got another guest too coming through.
All right. Yes, I love it. I love to hear people share their stories. I always think it's so inspirational and motivational. And again, you never know who maybe going through what they've been through, and who can share, who can encourage, who can drop some nuggets of wisdom and insight and knowledge. And that's what we need, to help each other in this journey called life. And so I think it's just amazing and powerful that these men and women come on here and want to share and be so transparent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I thank everyone for tuning in.
Yes.
And anybody else that's out there, listen, our platform is for you to be able to share your story. You
Mhm.
wanna share your story, you can hit us up on Victory of the Minds and our page. You
Mhm.
can hit us up. We got a flyer going around with both our emails on. Mine is escadine16@gmail.com. And if I need to spell it out for you, it's SGOURDINE16@gmail.com. And then we have Lyrical 7 with her email.
Yes, it's Tanya, T-O, and not T-A, but TonyA at lyrical, lyrical, the number 7.com.
Yes, and just know that you can come and you could be a blessing to somebody else that needs to hear a story, that needs to hear
Right.
something. It could be just a couple of sentences that you could be blessing somebody with, because you never know what a person is really searching for that could be on here. Like they might want to commit suicide, or they might
Yeah.
have been going through, rape, domestic violence. It is sexual assault month, and just
Yes.
all these
Yes.
things that people deal with that we don't know truly what they carry. So this is why Testimonial Tuesday is here to help people. Listen, you're not going through it alone. And we are here to listen, and that's what we're here for. We're here to just bless people and be here to understand that we've been through something too. So please believe we're not just here just because. We've
Right.
all walked through something. And we're all here to just walk this path together so we can be the vessels to each other, because it takes a village to get through life. You really can't do it alone. Even when we feel that, oh yeah, I'm alone, I'm Miss Independent. No, you need somebody to talk to, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. We got to make sure our mental is together. We got to make
Yeah.
sure our soul is together. We got to make sure we healing and find that peace and be one with ourselves, and not have one with 20 different people, because we're
Yes.
trying to, self-serve some other addictions because we haven't healed from what we hiding from.
Say
We gotta
that. Yes.
listen, we gotta stop hiding. We gotta just deal with it.
Take the
We
mask
running,
off.
yes, because the longer you run from it, it's gonna continue to follow you. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not going anywhere until you deal with it.
Yes.
Look, you know how people say, "Oh, I'm gonna pack that up and save it for later." Later's gonna come out. It might not come out too right.
Right.
So you can't be
Exactly.
saving and packing stuff for later, or sometimes you gotta do,
Don't be worried.
you gotta get it out. And like I said, my hashtag for this year is you deserve to heal. So everybody that's out there listening, just know you deserve to heal and you're not alone. And if you're dealing with something, contact us. We're here. We're here to help you shed your story. We're here to help you get it off your chest. And we're here to help you understand that your past don't define you.
That's
And
right.
we thank you as always for tuning in to Testimonial Tuesdays. We will see y'all next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, ready as always to get some of this inspirational healing. Thank everybody for tuning in. We love you. Please like, share, and continue to share, because somebody else might need to hear that story.
That's
Y'all have a
right.
blessed day. See y'all next week.
Bye.